My friends, I'd like to explain something to you about this feller named Bill Maher. Now, I've got nothing against Bill Maher. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Bill Maher says or does. He's entitled to his opinion. God bless him. It's a great gig, and he's run it for decades. And whether you like him or not is really unimportant. But here's what's important, something that I've learned. Who is Bill Maher? Better yet, who in the hell is Bill Maher? Well, he's nobody any different than anybody else. But he's a guy who I remember years ago. It was September 25th, 2001. Remember that month, September of 2001? September 26th or so, I believe. And President Bush came out and he said, quote, "Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward. Make no mistake, the U.S. will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts." Remember the momentum? I do. I'll never forget it. 9/11 was my red pill day. I'll never forget that. And the House and the Senate followed suit. They passed a joint resolution, passed the next night, labeling these suicide hijackings, excuse me, as heinous and cowardly attacks. Okay. And believe me, at the time, nobody with a couple of neurons and a working synapse would have ever dared to veer from that particular thought process. The country was, I don't have to remind you, but you might be, listen, this was what, 23 years ago, roughly. So this may be, many folks watching this may not have even been alive then, but in any event. So Bill Maher was the host of an ABC late night show called Politically Incorrect. Let me tell you what Bill Maher said. This is the mind of Bill Maher. Now understand this. This is what he thought, because he's a comedian. And he's funny. And he's wacky. He's wacky. He said, quote, "We have been the cowards lobbing cruise missiles from 2,000 miles away. That's cowardly." And then on the show, at some point later on, he said, quote, "Staying in the airplane when it hits the building, say what you want about it, it's not cowardly." Staying in the airplane when it hits the building. Now, I don't want to go through the specifics of how you could forget it. The point is, this is Bill Maher. This is the way he thinks. This is the comedian. This is the genius. This is the guy who knows more than us. This is the man imbued, possessed, given this God-given insight, this absolute immane genius. Okay, he learned his lesson. He came back, recovered, and now he's back doing whatever he was, what he does. Again, I'm not and I've nothing against him. It doesn't matter. He's just, look, there's some comedians. By the way, comedy is dead. Comedians are dead. This whole thing is, comedians are just dead. You want to see something really dead? How about this? Jerry Seinfeld. That act is just. But now his whole thing is, we're going to stop the cancel culture. Okay, great. Comedians in cars getting coffee or donuts or whatever. You never realize these people are not funny. They're rehearsed. They know their act. They're very good at delivery, but they're not really necessarily themselves geniuses. For every Bill Hicks and Dick Gregory and Mort Saul and George Carlin and others, and Will Rogers and Oscar Wilde, for every one of those, there's no one else. So somehow in the meantime, we look at these folks and realize they're really not, when they are not delivering their canned, rehearsed, prepared, either they wrote it or others. And by the way, when Maher does it, he always, when he would read, I would see on YouTube his new rules, he would read the prompter and laugh like he's seen it for the first time, which I think he did. People who laugh at their own jokes, but his was surprising. Hey, that's pretty funny. Who wrote that? Oh, I wrote that. I'm sorry, I wrote. And we know at this point people don't write their own stuff. In any event, comedy is dead. Comedians are dead. What's interesting today is this new version of, I don't know what you want to call it, satire, absurdism, whatever you want to call it. But let me give you the story. Let me cut to the chase. And this explains why Bill Maher is doing this. Bill Maher is trying to convert the career, and God bless him, into something where he's the thinker. He's not just a comic. He's a thinker. He's a sage. He's a wit. He expatiates wisdom. And okay, I saw this years ago. I started in talk radio in 1988, officially paid. I was working before that in 85, but I mean, actually got a gig. This is when talk radio, AM talk radio, stick talk radio, when talk radio was fun. Kind of, sort of, at the time, the Rush Limbaugh sort of started, but talk radio was still kind of local, and it was quirky, and it was weird, and it was this bastard child of radio. Nobody really cared for it. It didn't really, it's on AM, and the radio people were the jocks, and FM with the music, and okay. And even, Stern was there, certainly. He was, the shock jock. Make a long story short, Rush Limbaugh blew up. If you don't remember Rush, if you weren't around then, Rush was so big, restaurants would actually report that business dropped precipitously. People weren't coming in. They were in their cars, and this was before, portables and iPhones and cellular phones and iPhones and radios and all that shit. So restaurants would say, listen, you come in and we'll have Rush Limbaugh on this speaker or the radio, whatever it is, but please. I mean, he was that big. He was bigger. And I worked with him at WABC. And I'm telling you, everything you heard about him was absolutely true. And everything else you probably heard, he was a great, great guy. Off the air, great guy. Changed everything. Put AM, put radio on the map. Stern too, to his credit. Okay, so what happened? Well, right when Rush was beginning, or in the middle of that trajectory, a lot of guys who were in radio, who were doing boss talk. I can't do that, but they're called pukers in the business. They go blah blah blah. They're pukers. 8 for the hour coming out Sunday, down and dirty the mud. Funny guy. Remember that? Steppenwolf. This is before the FM voice. Robert Klein did the FM voice, that soft kind of AOR late night stuff. But the real boss, and you can hear sometimes on Sirius, like these old, not old, but these folks with the voice who do the, Martha Hoople, and all the young dudes, 8 after the hour on 93, who talks like that? This was the jock, and they talk like that. And they said, "Do you want to hear an air check?" An air check? Yeah, an air check. K5, K52, pukers. I mean, you don't need them now because now but Spotify. Okay, fine. So all of a sudden, these guys who said, "Wait a minute, I've been doing radio," then we go to the program directors and say, "Hey, I want to do a radio. I want you to give me a gig." What? I want you to give me a gig. I want to do a show. I've been at radio for 30 years. Listen, Charlie, and the guy's name was, I don't know. Charlie, what do you got? Charlie Tuna, this one, that, blah, blah. Names like, they almost sound like porn names, Branch Mason, and you know what I mean? Or my favorite, Stormy Daniels' husband, Barrett Bangwell, which was one of his earlier iterations of his names. I prefer, Harry Dangler and things like that. Anyway, so program directors would say, no, Charlie, this is politics. What are you talking about? I've been doing radio. I know you've been doing radio. But this is not just introducing. You got to have kind of an intuitive, Rush Limbaugh knows what he's talking about. Rush Limbaugh understands the issues. Rush Limbaugh is not merely belching and puking into the mic, he knows what he's talking about. Rush Limbaugh really is that good. He knows what he's yeah, but I've been doing radio. I know you've been doing radio. You keep telling me, but it's not just knowing how to push the buttons. So sure enough, every now and then somebody get this guy, Rock Stone from Q5, he's got a radio show, and you realize it immediately. I don't know about you, but these rebel insurgents in Basque country, what the hell is going on with that one? Alrighty, it's a quarter past the hour. I'll be here. So if I'm going to give us a call at 800. And I thought, wait a minute, no. And they couldn't get away from it. Not only that, if they could drop that stupid pukey voice, they didn't know anything. This stuff is tough. You really got to know your stuff. You really have to know your stuff and know radio. And Rush Limbaugh still was just terrific. He not only that, he could do actualities. He did bits, and he was funny. And let me say this again to you, and to all you comedians out there, he was funny. Not I'm a comedian funny, naturally funny. Funny. He made the news. It was a pleasure. I can't say enough about him. So what does this have to do with Bill Maher? Simple. He was a comedian. Oh, I can do this. I went on stage, and I go on stage, and I may talk about something. Bill Maher's big thing was he's an atheist. There's no God. See, Bill Maher figured this one out. Bill Maher can prove it to you. He's an atheist. There's no God. And he goes through the whole thing about Mithra, and you can find it on the internet. It's been around forever. And he's going to prove to you, after all, that the virgin birth is nonsense, and he's an expert. And here's the thing: they start to believe their own stuff. They start to believe, hey, I'm Delphic, I'm oracular, I'm the Oracle of Delphi, I'm the voice of. I know this stuff. You want to talk about Israel? You want to talk about Palestine? You want to talk? Talk to me. And the other day, if you could stop and think about this, now just I want you to close your eyes, and either you get you want to talk about a joke? This is a joke. This is a joke. Okay, you ready for this? Bill Maher on The View. just stop. Let me just say that again. I'm not going to explain the joke to you. Bill Maher on The View. And let me tell you something. That is a genius show. You know what I would do if I ran that, if I programmed that? Nothing. Maybe I'd get him a little loaded more. Maybe give him, get him half in the bag before they went on. Can you imagine really winding Joy Behar up? Oh, and they would walk off the set. Oh yeah, I don't want to lose that thought. I don't even know who these people. I couldn't tell you. I know Whoopi and Joy Behar, but other than that, I don't know who's on. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter, because this is where we are today. You don't have to know what the hell you're talking about. It's all attitude. It's attitude. So recently, two things happened. One was Bill Maher on Megyn Kelly, who ate his lunch, and get this, he didn't know it, and she didn't know it. Bill Maher with Bill Burr, embarrassment, Little Bighorn, he was destroyed. And the rest of the world, and his knowledge of the Middle East, Israel, Gaza, Palestinians, it's like you wonder, do you understand what's going on here? I swear to God, I tell people, listen to him if you want to know the dangers of mindless propaganda. When Megyn Kelly said to him, Bill, Hillary is an election denier. Oh, no, she's not. No, Bill, no. We're not asking you whether you personally are okay with that. She really is. You have to remember, you have to know the facts of the case. And by the way, Bill, coming on and finally admitting that Joe Biden's out of his tree, that he's a wizened coot, that he's hobbled by decrepitude and senescence? The guy walking around the White House yelling, "Who ordered the veal cutlet?" This guy. I remember on a show, I'm not going to mention the show, on election night, 2020. And I told the host then, he's out of it. I said, you don't understand. He's out of it. He said, what do you mean? I said, listen to what he said about corn pop. Listen. That one told me he's out of his tree. And that was nothing. He was lucid. He could speak. It was complete gibberish. It was schizophrenic logorrhea. It was word salad. I don't know what the hell it was. But then I said, this man's out of his mind. Remember when he was at these two African-American kids were looking up at him? He said, and he would go off into these tangents. There I was. Corn pop. It's a bad dude. He's a bad dude. Took a razor blade, shaped it on the side of the pool. And I got yellow blonde hairs on my leg, get crazy, get curly. I said, hey, corn pop, you meet me outside, you got chains and rocks. Great Danes and chains. Whips and chains and Great Danes. Hospital for life. Barton Mall. Yeah, babe. Fernwood tonight. That's what it's about. Put the pomade in here. You can't go around. If you drop the bridge, well, don't drop the soap. And when you hit the bridge, wave. Marysy Dodes and I'll be in Scotland for you. I'm busy right now. I was calling about a bad dude. And his staff was saying, what the hell is this guy talking about? And I was saying then, no. And you know what the people said? Bill Maher just realized now. I think he's a little. It's okay, Bill. Thank you, bud. Thank you for that. Hillary Clinton before, remember this? Little memory lane, folks. Little memory lane. Remember when Hillary Clinton was doing this? She'd go through these weird neuronal or neurological fugues. She went to that jerking head thing. Remember that feller she had? Remember that guy? They said he was a Secret Service agent, but he really wasn't. He was kind of a rotund African-American gentleman. I don't think he's with us anymore. Remember the time she was at some event and he walks up, I think he's got the benzo pen, and you could hear him saying, it's okay. It's okay. She just looked. Remember that? Remember that when she had remember the Benghazi hearings? Remember the Fresnel lenses for diplopia? Remember that? Those horn rim for double vision? Remember that? Remember after she fell? Remember the 9/11? She fell. She lost a shoe. Remember that? She left her shoe there. They threw her in the back of a truck. Took her off like a sack of potatoes. They left her shoe there. As Stephen Stills would say, threw a shoe and took a bad fall. Stills too, by the way. Solo album, great stuff. Singing Call, I think it was. In any event, she was out of her tree the night she had the nomination. What is it that Angelo Bruno looked at? With the lights, pow, pow, pow. The lights, the flashing. You ever see those signs in Broadway plays? They say, we got flashing lights here. People with epilepsy better be careful, with all due respect. But I'm saying you got to be careful. People who are photophobic. I was talking about this, and they looked at me like, what are you talking? I said, look at her. And then Bill was talking her own book. She fell. The State Department hit her head. Anyway. But nobody listened. Nobody cared. But Trump, remember that he grabbed the water one time? Look at him. Look, he confused the name. The guy speaks for 3 hours. What are you talking about? Trump he's like Dorian Gray. He's ageless. I don't understand how he does it. But Bill Maher had the unmitigated courage to finally say, I think Joe looks like a cadaver. Okay. Why? Because he's at the end of the trajectory of the career. And it's a great career. And he's fooled people into thinking he knows what the he's talking about. And he doesn't. He doesn't understand. There is no depth. There is no analysis. There is no nuance, no parsing, no plumbing the depths of the issue. Nothing. He is bumper sticker, playbook, echo chamber, cookie cutter. He's just the usual. He's just this bumper sticker, sock puppet, routinized. He plays it safe. He says nothing. Nothing that's at all controversial. Oh, these kids today going out there with their crazy Palestinian. What the hell do these kids know? They don't know anything. Why these long hairs? Where have you heard that before? Huh? Thanks, Bill. Why these crazy kids? You don't know what you're talking about. He actually said today, oh, those people in Gaza, they love to go to Tel Aviv. It's like, do you understand? What? Do you understand what you just said? Do you know what you... No, he doesn't know. Because he said, I play it safe. Because he learned in 2001, I'm not going to do that again. No way. When I start riffing, I say stuff that's stupid. So give me some 4 points everybody's cool with. And I'll sound like the guy who I'm going to go out and I'm going to once and for all, I'm going to bury the left. I'm going to make sure that I stand up. I'm going to show those left people that Bill Maher's in town. Damn it. I'm in town. And I'm a new voice. And I'm going to say to all my lefty friends, I've got cojones like this. Elephantine, my friend. Huevos the size of cannonballs. And I'm going to go on and say stuff like, I think this cancel culture's got to go. Wow. What balls. Thanks, Bill. That's what I do. That's what I do. But you know what? God bless him. And what's funny, there's a weird momentum once you start, you may not remember this, but one of my favorite, or my generation, there was a commercial for Alberto VO5. And this woman says, hello, I'm Rula Lenska. And when I go out, I need and she would with her hairspray. And everybody was saying, who the hell is Rula Lenska? I don't know. Rula Lenska. Hello, I'm Rula Lenska. Yes, I'm partying. Rula, yes, darling. And she's at the stage door signing autographs. And we kept saying, who the hell is Rula Lenska? Bill Maher is Rula Lenska. Remember when Saul Alinsky came out all of a sudden? Everybody starts saying, that's just Saul Alinsky right there. That's what that is. Sure, I know that's that Obama with your Saul Alinsky. I know what you're doing, Mr. City local organizer. You're in the Saul Alinsky. Who the hell is Saul Alinsky? I don't know, but I don't like his name. And I'm going to say whatever I have to say because we repeat things. Remember during 9/11? Because you got to remember that the smoking gun could be a mushroom cloud. The smoking gun could be a mushroom cloud. Yeah, then maybe not. There wasn't a 9/11. No, there hasn't been a 9/11 since 9/11. Remember that one? Why are we in Iraq? Well, there hasn't been a 9/11 since 9/11. I said, and there wasn't a 9/11 before 9/11. Better to fight them here than there. Who? Them. Who? So I'm used to this. I've been around, see? I've been around. Every now and then, you get somebody like Bill Maher who says, I'm going to do this. Years ago, there were 2 horrible examples of TV talk radio. You may not remember this, but trust me, this was the real Coke. This was horrible. Anybody remember the worst one ever? It was Magic Johnson. Oh my God. He had a talk show host and Chevy Chase. Oh dear Lord. The 2 worst radio talk shows ever in terms of terrestrial radio. 2 back to back. And I believe they were on WABC. They were so horrible that I am not a proponent of waterboarding, but if I did catch somebody and I wanted to torture the truth out of them, I would make them listen to continuous loop tapes of either the Mario Cuomo or Alan Dershowitz talk host. He's come a long ways, but his talk radio, oh dear God, it was just horrible. Why? Because he said, give him a talk show. Give him a talk show. What? Well, just give it to him. Bill would remember this in the 80s. Remember when they had stand up at the Improv And then there was this plethora, this endless ha-has and hoo-hoos and chuckles and yucks and all these people that, whatever the hell they everybody can be a comic. I can be a comic. I could be a comic. It was a day of Emo Phillips and Judy Tenuta. I'm thinking, oh my God. Why? I can be a comic. I can do that. I'm funny. I can stand in front of a brick wall, tell quirky things. I've seen this before. Well, you know what? Be a comic. But don't go out there and try to explain, try to parse the Balfour Declaration or talk about jurisdictional problems inherent in the ICC versus ICJ and the whole notion of, realism. Let me tell you something. The best stuff on that I'm seeing, the absolute best. It is simply when it comes to this whole thing. And of course, Bill Maher, I love to bring Bill Maher on just to sit there. My dream, ready for this? I've always wanted to see, this is terrible. Wouldn't it be great to see a 79, 80-year-old man against Mike Tyson in his prime? Wouldn't you like to see? What would I know it's terrible. It's like the Coliseum to see a bear maul somebody. But I would love to see this. Bring Bill Maher on against John Mearsheimer. I say, Johnny, go for the throat. Tear him apart. Kill him. Okay. John Mearsheimer, Jeffrey Sachs, Colonel McGregor, Scott Ritter, the great Judge Napolitano, Max Blumenthal, superb, Aaron Mate. Who else? Amy Goodman. Just go down the list. A perspective that is so antithetical, so the chiral opposite of what's going on right now. Put Bill Maher in there. Please, Bill. And do me a favor, Bill, say that thing about wanting to go from Gaza to Tel Aviv. Please tell Max Blumenthal that. Please. I want to see that. Talk about NATO with Mearsheimer. Talk about this. Explain it. Can you want to talk about Maidan? No, probably not. Donbass? No, the right sector? Azov Battalion? No, you don't want to, no? The history of Ukraine? No, you don't want to do that? Okay. You want to talk about maybe Victoria Nuland? And no, you don't want to do that either? Okay. Schwab, World Economic Forum, the Great Reset? No. Neoliberalism versus neoconservatism? Come on, Bill, you can do it. You're funny. Leo Strauss versus, you're good at this. PNAC versus the iteration of this, a Great Reset. You're good at this. Listen, Bill, you tackled Joy Behar. You and Joy Behar. That was a meeting of the minds with Steve Allen. Remember that years ago? It was a great show. It was like watching Bill Buckley with Mortimer Adler debating the hermeneutics of Aristotelian dialectics. It's beautiful. You can do it all, Bill, because you're a comedian and you were on TV and you're the voice of this. You're funny. You can do this. Please, I beg you. You don't understand. It's almost like, you ever watch these great YouTube channels where you see somebody out there and you see these boxers and they do like this and they do this. They show you the right way to block a punch or whatever it is. This is the way. I would show Bill Maher and then I stop the tape and say, and then I give him somebody who is lucid. Bill Maher against Ilan Pape. Just imagine that. And let me tell you something. It's two people that do it right every single time. And I think the most important person right now on any kind of platform, bar none in the world, is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan stays in his lane, but Joe Rogan, what he doesn't know, he shows utter and absolute curiosity and a jaw-dropping sense of wow. And Lex Fridman, the best. Seeing Lex Fridman in the Amazon forest and a black sweating. Lex Friedman is the best. It's the great. It is so much. It is so great. The greatest minds in the world. We're talking about when. Oh my God, when Eric Weinstein against. Anyway, but no, bring on Bill Maher. And by the way, one more thing, thing, and this is my last little bit, suggestion. If you're going to get gooned, if you're going to get waxed, if you're going to get absolutely halal on weed or whatever it is you're smoking, don't do it on radio, on talk shows. Cat Williams, I was looking so forward to him on Joe Rogan show, and Cat Williams went from, my God, he was great. He was like Dick Gregory meets whatever. And I can't wait to see him with Joe Rogan. And he turned into like Thelonious Monk with a hangover. You see, God is not the apparent God. What was I going to say? Anyway. And when Bill was talking with Bill Burr, when Maher said, when Bill Maher said, yeah, I'm with the kids. And Maher didn't know because he stole out of his bejesus. Don't do it. It does not help. Marijuana creates the illusion that what you're saying is profound. Remember who was Hemingway said, write drunk, but edit sober. Well, don't go on talk shows when you're stoned. And then telling me that you think Biden is, I think that Biden is, he's just not. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Love it. All right, that's all. Thanks for spending some time with me. Thank you for letting me into it. And by the way, what's my basis of expertise? You're looking at it. All right, friends. By the way, do me a favor. Follow me on YouTube at Lionel Nation. I would appreciate it. I do this stuff all the time. Nobody gets it. No. I'm telling you right now. It's not because it's that, rarefied or recherche or no, it's because nobody gets it. Because it's not obvious enough. I talk about things that are frankly, sometimes a little bit different. So anyway, thank you for your time. And don't forget, my friends, as I always ask you, and please do it in this particular frame right here, comment as you see fit.